Hi, I'm Adam Meyer of Mill City Lutherie in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and in this video I'm going to show the method I use to install the Sustainiac Stealth Pro system in this beautiful J-Custom Ibanez guitar. Okay, let's take a look at the kit here. Now the primary component is the pickup driver. This goes in place of the neck pickup. There are single coil versions of this. This customer, he has humbuckers, so we're going with this. There is the primary preamp. Comes in this anti-static bag. Make sure not to touch any of the sensitive parts of it. But these wire clips are what attach to it, and I'll be soldering them to the other components inside the guitar. This will fit inside. It'll be kind of above the pots. This is what makes it actually work. Here are the selector switches. It's a 3-way and a 2-way. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to center these between the volume and tone pot. And if you can see here, the length of the threaded part here on the switch, that is too short to fit through the guitar body currently. So on other instruments, you might be able to drill to fit those in place, and then on the inside use what's known as a Forstner bit to kind of drill from the inside and create a flat circular spot. But the depth, I'm doing some estimates here. Size of this, we've got a wall inside the guitar here. I just don't think this is going to work out. It's going to look messy. Might have make the wood a little weak in there. So I'll show you what my plan is. I'm going to just do a route of flat area inside the control cavity for these to fit through. And then it runs on a battery. This customer wants a battery box installed. So got 2 small routes to do, and with this being installed, I pretty much have to dismantle the guitar completely. All the other pickups need to come out so I can feed the wires through. So that's basically the option on this one. So take a close-up look at the guitar before we take it apart. This neck pickup will be taken out and will be given back to the customer. That is where the pickup driver is going to go. Over here there will be the 2 mini switches that will be mounted between the 2 volume knobs here. And if showing up close here, you'll note the knobs are actually recessed into the body. That makes a little bit of a snag here when it comes to getting those mini switches installed. I'll show you once I get this guitar pulled apart. I recommended to the customer that I upgrade his pots, and CTS is now making some really nice mini pots. And they fit in here. You can see the difference in the size. I'm going to need this room because the primary preamp is so large. Okay, and I'm going to show you here the reason for going with the change in pots. Going to use the little mini switch preamp here, little circuit board. It's off-centered 2 different ways. We'll get to the second way in a little later in the video. But if I'm drawing a line between the volume and the tone pots, and to center things up with the mini switches between the 2 of them, if I kind of eyeball where that will be, you can see that the circuit board actually overlays one of the pots. It'll actually be the volume. Now the route that I'm planning on doing, I'm just going to go like basically as much of a straight line across there. This area here I'm going to route down. The reason why I'm not going to do the entire cavity in one even pass is because if we flip this over, the pots for this particular model guitar are recessed into the body. And I don't want to be thinning out the body too much in too many of the places, having this become weak in this area. So I'm just only removing the wood that's required to do it. Now, I've also taking a ruler and on the inside, looking across the edge, put a piece of tape. That is the depth that we currently have. So if I hold up my mini switch here, see if I can get the light a little better. You can see that it's not going to fit through there. It's not a lot of wood, but I at least know basically how much I need to take off. It's going to not be a whole lot, probably less than 1/8 of an inch. I want to be able to put lock washers, nuts, and the outer washer on these so it's secure in place. But I don't want to thin this out too much. So it's just, that's where it's at right now. I'm going to only go to maybe like about there. And that should do it. This will require a battery. Really the only good place for it on this instrument is going to be here. I'm going to do kind of angled. You can see this. Tip it a little bit. I'm going to try and center it between the covers here and here, and be close here, and hopefully I will be able to feed the battery wires right through here. Really it'll only be the positive for the off the battery. The ground will be going to the jack. Now you can see how I lined this up. To get the center line between there, I went by the outside of those holes and then put a center line in there. Centered and then spaced out evenly for these. And they fit in perfectly. So I already routed for the battery box. Have that all established. Now, as you can see here, even though I use a brad point bit, you can still get a little bit of the wood to tear when you poke through. The only way to alleviate that is if I had a block that I could press on here. But you know, the amount of time to make a block that's a perfect fit where I can set this on my drill press is a lot of time. So what I do is I drill a hole like this first, and then I'll go in and route, and it'll all be cleaned up when the job is done. And then I'll go back and probably just use a piece of tape across here, straight line, and I'll take a Dremel with a sanding drum and sand this back as nice and flat as I can. Now I've got all the routing done. See what it looks like there. Yeah. Notice that this driver pickup is much higher protruding from the body than the regular pickups. So we'll pull this out here. You can see how tall this is, and it doesn't really go down into the body at all. This here I will need to route down. You can see that there is room there for the legs of a humbucker to go down, but that is not how this is constructed. So this middle area of the pickup route I'm going to take down lower with my tracing bit. Alright, slid the pickup back in, and you can see you just let it rest, it goes down further than I need. That's good because the customer requested that I have a little bit of adjustment. So let me pull this back out. So what I'm going to do now is touch up sand a little bit, more of the conductive shielding tape, reconnect the ground wire. There was a little connected to the shielding here, and go get back to assembling this. What I ended up having to do, which I don't have video of, but I took my Dremel with a sanding drum and I went laterally into the side here of the route here and carved out an area so I could slide the mini switch circuit board down in and into the control cavity here, and I would not affect where the battery box placement is. I can still use the same screw. The wood here is still just deep enough for the screw to go in. I will shorten it anyways just to make sure that it does not touch anything when you screw it in. And also, I'll show you when I actually plug this circuit board in. This goes here. This one over here. Make sure it's in all the way. Make sure you curl the wires down around so you can get it in. Get these wires down over here. Also had the problem where this is just a little bit too long to fit in here. So right up here I used a Dremel again to route out a little corner so that I could fit this preamp in. There's basically absolutely no more room in here for anything else. Couple of extra notes. These are optional wires. You can add like a boost pot and things like that. I just trimmed them off shorter and then put shrink tubing on them so they don't touch anything. I added some pickup tape on the back of the preamp here, even though it's in plastic coating. I did this because this is a metal cover and got shielding paint. I don't want to, you know, over time have anything poke through that plastic and then touch this metal. So I put that on just for a little insurance. Now in their instructions, they want everything kept short, like this orange and white wires over here. So make sure you keep them short and away from the circuit board. I'm going to tuck these down. Now it's time to put the cover on and go do a little demonstration on how this all works. Okay, here's the rundown on what we have here for the final setup. Master volume, master tone, they're the same as normal. The switch works same as normal. You got your humbucker, then the next one splits the humbucker with single coil, then you start adding in the driver. Now the pickup driver acts, you can use it just like a regular pickup. But I'll put it back on the humbucker here. And you have your on-off switch for the Sustainiac. And then this is a selector for which tone you want. You can have the fundamental, which is basically just keeps the string ringing. You can flip it up and it'll be a harmonic. It's kind of like a controlled feedback. In the middle is a combination of the two. So I'm just going to, I don't really know how to play using one of these, but I'll just give you a demonstration by plucking the A string and let you get an idea of what's going on here. So we'll flip it on. When you turn it off, the string will then just decay as normal. And that's another project done. So the idea was to have this be as unaltered as possible. Obviously, that does not include the battery box. But if this were another instrument, there could have been the option of routing an entire large cavity back here, make a new cover for it. Would have made the install a lot easier. But this is such a beautiful guitar. The idea is you want to make it look like it came out of the factory this way. Being careful that there's no marks or anything, properly drilling and routing. And, you know, if you come up with a situation like needing to create more room inside, you got to be able to think on your feet. So if you have a project similar to this, or even more simple things, setups, fretwork, whatever, my contact information is at the end of the video, and I'll see you next time.